Istanbul is a living maze that doesn't fit in a single video. To start, think about the scale. Turkey's most populous city sprawls across diverse neighborhoods and requires transportation infrastructure to match. That's why where many people first enter already says a lot about the experience. Istanbul Airport on the European side handles about 65 million passengers a year, ranking among the 5 busiest on the planet. For comparison, Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta led 2023 with 93.7 million travelers. That gap already signals the intense flow that powers the city's daily life. Before we go on, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. That way, every new chapter gets to you at the right time and nothing on this journey slips by. But Istanbul doesn't rely on a single doorway. On the Asian side, Sabiha Gökçen serves those who land on the other side of the Bosphorus. Your airport choice changes the logistics of your arrival and, as a bonus, defines your first contact with the city. And if crossing from one continent to the other sounds far-fetched, hear its routine. Marmaray, the underwater metro that crosses the strait, turned a bold idea into everyday commuting, shortening distances and connecting stories. To get around without hassle, the Istanbul cart ties together the metro, buses, trams, and of course the ferries. And it's on the ferries that transport becomes a scene. Passengers standing, wind on their faces, seagulls trailing the crossing, hands stretched out with pieces of cimet. Between one boarding and the next, the city slows down for a few minutes. You take a deep breath, the sound of water replaces traffic noise, and the horizon pushes your gaze far away. In this back and forth, Istanbul reveals its rhythm, and there's much more to explore in the next part of this journey. Walking through Istanbul makes it clear that the city's density isn't just in the numbers, or only in Turks born there. Over the last few years, people have arrived from many countries, more than the infrastructure can absorb. Tourism is still welcome, but resistance is growing to foreigners who decide to stay. Cross the bridge from the European side to the Asian side and the picture shifts again. Faces, clothes, and accents from the Middle East appear on the streets, and the so-called broken Turkish reveals stories of displacement and new beginnings. In this constant encounter, a question pops up with no simple answer. What, after all, defines being an Istanbulite? Amid honking horns and rushed crossings, something basic and rare for a metropolis this size stands out: the patience with which many people face daily life. That attitude connects to a striking trait of the country: the drive to run your own business. Food, fashion, crafts. There are shops and workshops that open before sunrise, in a routine that repeats Monday through Saturday. On Sundays, the pace slows, shutters down, fewer people on the streets, a breather that resets the week. When it comes to money, the challenges are clear. Gas runs around 34.54 lira per liter, roughly $1.50, a burden for those earning on average between $400 and $700 a month. Result: lots of people swap the steering wheel for the metro, buses, and ferries, not just because of fuel prices, but also the traffic that eats up hours of life. Buying a new car costs even more than in Europe, which makes owning a car a deferred dream for many. Tea holds a central place in Turkish daily life. It's not just a hot drink, it's the pause that stitches the day together, from the work desk to a neighborly visit. Around those small tulip-shaped glasses, conversations wander through the economy, soccer, and neighborhood news. No wonder the country ranks among the world's biggest consumers, a habit that sustains bonds and sets the pace of social life. Before we go on, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. That way, every new chapter gets to you at the right time and nothing on this journey slips by. In the morning, another common scene: soup. Lentil soup especially shows up both as a fix after a long night and as fuel before work. It's simple, affordable, and comforting. A start to the day that says a lot about practicality and tradition. Alongside these customs, cigarettes are still common. Many start young and keep smoking for years, a trait that cuts across generations. In big cities, especially in Istanbul, living with different lifestyles is part of the landscape. Locals learn to balance their own references with the constant presence of visitors and foreign residents, creating an atmosphere of respect and integration. That openness, however, walks alongside a core of values people aim to preserve: Among them, respect for Islam and the Muslim community holds a central place. Most Turks identify as Muslim, even with varying levels of practice, and that relationship with faith shapes perceptions, gestures, and expectations in public space. For newcomers, understanding this set of customs and sensitivities is key to truly connecting with the country. To understand today's Turkey, it's worth starting with the place its heroes hold in the national imagination. Names like Fatih Sultan Mehmet, and above all Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, appear in portraits, squares, and classrooms. It's more than respect. The legacy of these figures is protected by law, and insulting Ataturk is a crime. This shared reference underpins collective identity and sets limits for public debate. At the other end of daily life, pop culture reveals another layer. Turkish series that travel the world bet on romances between a rich man and a woman from humble origins, with twists and alliances. Beyond the drama, those stories let a persistent desire shine through: social mobility, crossing class lines, and reaching material comfort. That impulse shows up on social media too. Luxury brands work like a password for belonging, and lots of people stretch their budgets to show off a watch, a bag, a car. The feed becomes a stage. Purchases get posted, likes turn into validation, and status is measured with every post. There's also an important boundary in audiovisual work: the presence of alcohol. Influenced by Islam and state guidelines, alcoholic drinks show up sparingly in Turkish productions, a contrast to Brazilian soaps, where glasses and cigarettes appear more often. Even when they share themes, economic crisis, hard work, the dream of a better life, Turkish shows keep alcohol consumption in check, aligned with cultural norms. Istanbul beats to a rhythm where laws and customs cross at every corner. High taxes on alcoholic beverages push prices up and limit consumption in many neighborhoods. For part of the population, especially those dealing with dependency, the workaround has been making alcohol at home to keep up the habit. That backdrop contrasts with the table, heir to the Ottoman Empire. The city safeguards its recipes and techniques, keeps spices and cooking methods as a living heritage, and turns the weekend into a ritual. The long breakfast with breads, cheeses, olives, eggs, and jams becomes a gathering point. Family and friends around a table that invites unhurried conversation. Before we go on, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. That way every new chapter gets to you at the right time and nothing on this journey slips by. On a stroll, history shows up without effort. Hagia Sophia, once a basilica, then a museum, and today an active mosque, shares the scene with the Blue Mosque and its 6 minarets. Between them, Sultanahmet Square organizes the flow of visitors, reminding you that every stone has seen empires rise and fall. Residents and guides tend to the whole set with care, like someone showing off the city's living room. And when it comes to weddings, tradition weighs in. A simple party is still seen as embarrassing. Many couples go into debt counting on gifts to balance the books. But a shift is taking root among the young. In Kadıköy and Beşiktaş, the idea of prioritizing other stages of life is growing. Smaller ceremonies, less showiness, more experiences. Among packed cafes and promenades along the Bosphorus, new choices are reshaping what it means to celebrate and what it means to belong to Istanbul. Between these extremes, Istanbul works like a mosaic. Traditional and modern, introspective and loud. Neighborhood routine and big city ambition. Each area offers its own code of behavior, an aesthetic, a rhythm. Understanding the city means accepting this side-by-side coexistence of worlds, and letting each trip across town reveal another piece of the puzzle. So, did you enjoy this stroll through Istanbul? If this deep dive into its neighborhoods and contrasts grabbed you, drop a like. It helps the channel a ton. Comment below which part of the city caught your eye the most. And if you've been there, share a quick story for us to include in upcoming videos. And go ahead and subscribe. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next episodes in this series. Oh, share it with the person you'd take to explore these streets with you. See you in the next chapter.